Welcome to the Movie Zone. Today we are recapping the 2008 war resistance movie, Defiance, the story of the great selfless heroics of the Belsky brothers. Their actions would go on to save over 1,000 Polish Jews from persecution. Let's begin. In 1941, the German Nazis occupy Belorussia by rounding up European Jews and killing them in concentration camps. Within weeks' invasion of Poland, 50,000 people are murdered by the Nazis in a plan of extermination. 1 million Polish Jews are held captive, awaiting deportation and death. While the Germans are killing the Jews, Zeus and Asoil, two of the Belsky brothers, escape the chaos and try to flee from the soldiers. When they find their father already dead on the ground, the two set off to retrieve their youngest brother Aaron, who has been hiding in their house from the Germans. Zeus tells Aaron it's safe to escape, and the three head to the Naliboki forest to continue their escape. The three stop in the middle of the forest to take some rest when Asoil suddenly starts bursting into tears from all the awful things they are going through. Zeus tries to calm him down, but starts tearing up himself. After calming down a bit, Asoil and Aaron take a short nap. When Tuvia, their oldest brother, appears and wakes them up, he warns them to never let their guard down, even while sleeping, or the Germans might kill them. The three rejoice in meeting their older brother, and the four Belsky brothers continue through the forest. As they walk, Zeus tells Tuvia he had hidden his wife and child, but their parents have already been killed by the soldiers. While the three brothers are talking, Aaron goes off deep into the forest where he encounters several other Jewish escapees hiding in the forest. He then takes all of them to where his brothers are staying. All of them are traumatized and hurt by recent events. One old man is distraught at his daughter's injuries and begs someone save her, but they fail to keep the girl alive. The escapees then start helping themselves to the ration the Belskys had stored. Zeus is concerned about the large group they had gathered. He expresses his concern of how they would be able to sustain such a group. Tuvia ignores his concerns. He is only focused on how he can avenge the death of their parents. He tells Zeus he is going to Koshik, a friend of his who would help him get food supplies and a gun, which he plans to use to kill the people responsible for their parents' death. Tuvia goes to Koshik's house where he receives a pistol, and the two friends talk about Tuvia's parents. Suddenly, the auxiliary police working under the Germans arrive outside Koshik's house. Koshik tells Tuvia to hide in his barn, where he has hidden other Jews as well. The police chief starts bragging to Koshik about how he killed Belsky's parents and is looking for their sons to kill next. Hearing the conversation between the two, Tuvia figures out that the chief was the one responsible for killing his parents. After the police officer leaves, Koshik tells Tuvia to take care of the Jews in the barn as well and take them along with him to the forest. Tuvia agrees. That night, Tuvia goes to Bernicki, the auxiliary chief's house where his whole family is enjoying their dinner together. Tuvia's sudden entrance rattles all of them. When they notice the gun Tuvia is carrying, the chief panics and tries to disarm him, but is killed along with his sons. The next morning, Tuvia breaks the news to Zeus. He has finally avenged their parents. After the incident, the brothers and the other refugees continue to live in their camp. One day, Tuvia goes on a hunt for food, and while returning back with food, Zeus sees he has brought more Jews escapees along with him. The growing number of refugees starts to concern Zeus, mainly because he knows that growing in large numbers with limited supplies is a very dangerous situation for them. He starts arguing with Tuvia, when suddenly, two men raid their camp with a rifle, demanding food. Zeus confronts the two men and dares them to shoot him, a Jew. After hearing him, the two men reveal themselves to be Peretz and Jacob, two men who belong to Zeus's village. The men inform the group that all people in the village were killed by the Nazis, including Zeus's wife and children. Zeus cannot bear this news and starts beating himself up. He cannot help but blame himself for all that was happening to him. Angered and thirsty for revenge, Zeus decides on taking revenge on the Nazis and asks the people to join him if they want to kill the Germans. Everyone in the camp agreed to join him. Zeus and the others attack a village supporting the Nazis and kill all the people there. While returning, they see a jeep full of Germans come down the road, which immediately alerts them to hide. One of the soldiers gets off the jeep and starts relieving himself on Zeus. Zeus stabs the soldier immediately and kills him. While Zeus is killing the soldier, the others start attacking the jeep as well. A German truck nearby spots them as well and starts attacking everyone. During the collision, Jacob gets shot and dies, while Peretz gets injured. Asoil, on the other hand, decides to surrender to the Germans. Due to the lack of weapons to fight against the Germans, they decide to retreat, leaving Asoil behind. Back at the camp, Zeus and Tuvia start bickering about what had happened, when suddenly, a man, Ben Zion Gulkowitz, enters their camp. He tells them he belongs from a small village where everyone got killed and wanted to join the group. The brothers have other issues. Tuvia wants to focus on surviving rather than killing the Germans, but Zeus has other ideas. However, at the end, after witnessing the whole camp in chaos and panic, Zeus agrees with his brother. Tuvia, Zeus, and Ben then go to visit Koshik, but find his body hanging from his ceiling with a sign "Jew Lover" hung around his neck. Saddened by their friend's death, they decide to give him a proper funeral and dig a grave for Koshik's body. Koshik's wife takes them to a hidden cellar where they find Asoil, who had escaped, with two other Jewish girls, Bella and Chea. Zeus notices his brother Asoil taking interest in the girl, Chea, but decides not to pry further into his private affairs. Zeus, Asoil, and Ben Zion waylay a milkman, Kisely, on the road. They ask for his milk. He pleads that the Germans will kill him if he doesn't meet his quota. They only take half of his milk, but Zeus only takes the man's winter coat. Back in the camp, a man named Arkande tries to persuade Chea to become his wife, but she declines him straight to his face. "Sorry, buddy. That has to hurt." Sometime later, Aaron sees some policemen and German soldiers being led to the campsite by Kisely. He runs back to camp and tells Tuvia all about the danger. Tuvia orders the people to evacuate the campsite, while a few of them remain there to fend off the attackers. After the others have evacuated, Tuvia and the remaining start shooting towards the soldiers, injuring a few, which forces them to retreat. The next day, as Zeus and Tuvia go through the forest, they encounter a group of Russian partisans. Tuvia tells them they are from Belsky Otriad and are then taken to Viktor Panchenko, the leader of the group called October Otriad. Tuvia tries to convince Viktor they are fighting the same enemy, and Viktor reluctantly agrees to help them and asks to send in return their best fighters. That night, Tuvia is informed by another new arrival in the camp that a lot of Jews are being held in the nearby Baranovichi ghetto, and they would soon be killed if they weren't saved. Tuvia wants to help the group, but Zeus is skeptical. The two brothers get into an argument, which becomes a full-on fistfight. Tuvia almost ends up killing his brother. Angered, Zeus leaves alongside Ben Zion and some others and heads to the Russian camp. After a few days, Tuvia and Asoil sneak into the Baranovichi ghetto nearby where a lot of Jews are held captive. They manage to save all the Jews being held there and escort them back to the camp. Tuvia then gets on his horse and starts giving a speech about how they are going to rebuild their lives again. He tells everyone they will all learn how to fight and defend themselves. Elsewhere, Zeus proves his worthiness to Viktor when they ambush a German convoy. While in the camp, Bella motivates Asoil to ask Chea to marry him, to which he agrees. Chea accepts his proposal, and they get married just as winter arrives. As winter starts settling in, the food supplies start drying, and the people are cold and scared. With no other options, Tuvia kills his horse so the people can eat. Soon sickness starts spreading throughout the colony and they discover it's typhus. The Russian camp has some medicine to deal with it, but Tuvia feels it's unlikely they would part with it for them. Tuvia goes to the Russian camp and requests the medicine with Viktor, but he refuses. The group is actually planning to attack a police HQ and has no time to deal with Tuvia. Tuvia and Viktor almost get into an argument for the medicine, but Zeus suggests that they attack the police HQ where some medicine might be present. The whole group along with Tuvia head to the HQ, but Zeus realizes that his brother already had typhus and cannot join them. Short-handed, he asks Tuvia to stay back while they get the job done. While the attack ends up being successful, Benzayan and some other soldiers end up getting killed. While Zeus is severely injured, he has, however, managed to get the medicine as well. Tuvia apologizes and asks his brother to return back to the camp, but Zeus refuses. Back in camp the next day, the hooligan Arcady starts demanding to get more food from Chea. He tries to take more, and Asil and Arcady get into a fight. Tuvia immediately breaks it up and punishes them. He commands Chea to start giving them half what they previously received. Tuvia, however, has grown weak from his illness, and Arcady knows this. The next day, Arcady plans on extending his authority within the camp and completely takes over. He and his gang beat up Asoil and make sure they get the larger portion of rations, leaving little to nothing for the old and sick. When a weak Tuvia comes outside the camp and notices this, he confronts Arcady, who simply declares himself the new leader. Tuvia cannot tolerate insubordination, shoots him on the spot, and orders his body fed to the wolves. Slowly, Tuvia starts to get better under Lilica's care. With the winter ending, morale also improves. After a few days, Victor receives information about an imminent German attack and informs Zeus they're leaving the jungle. The Belsky partisans are commanded to stay back and attack the Germans while the Russians' partisans escape. Basically, Victor wanted to sacrifice them for the Russian survival. Soon, German scout planes discover the Belsky camp in the forest. Tuvia notices the plane and orders everyone to evacuate, but just as people begin escaping, Luftwaffe planes began dropping bombs. While Tuvia escapes with the refugees, Asil and the fighters remain back and prevent the German onslaught. German soldiers attack the compound and manage to kill almost all the fighters who remained back. However, they managed to fend off the Germans long enough for the camp's occupants to escape a substantial distance. Tuvia and the other refugees find a big swamp, unsure of whether Asoil is alive or not. Tuvia finds himself sidelined to elect either to stay or to go. But Asoil suddenly appears and shouts that the military is behind, and they need to cross the swamp in order to survive. Through a collected team effort, the group somehow manages to cross to the other side of the swamp, but their misery is not yet over, as they soon find themselves being attacked by German soldiers and tanks. A lot of Tuvia's men are killed. They manage to subdue a machine gun squad, but the tank remains a problem. They are almost overpowered by the tank, then suddenly, Zeus and his group come to their aid and manage to disable the tank and its crew. After defeating the remaining Germans, Tuvia comes out from cover and orders everyone to rush into the forest. Zeus and Tuvia finally embrace each other after a long-awaited reunion, while Asoil watches them with a smile on his face. As the war continued, the group spent about 2 years in the forest, increasing in number up to 1,200 Jews. After the war, Zeus and Tuvia immigrated to the United States and started a trucking business. Despite their heroics, the Belsky brothers never sought any recognition. What do you think about this gripping movie? Tell us in the comments below. Be sure to like and subscribe.